was definitely a tease. I didn't want it to stop.
I didn't want it to stop either. That is probably my favorite recent song of Mr. Notch. That's Black My Story. It's a single that has been running on the charts for about a year, but now music fans are going to get an opportunity to hear that song and several others as part of his newest album entitled Reggae Man. Talk to us about it, Mr. Notch.
Yeah, Reggae Man is here, you know. It's long overdue. This album is really a tribute to the late, great Jamich.
Yes.
Mitchell Olsen Banks from West Bay. And one of definitely the greatest musicians that the Cayman Islands has ever produced. Songwriters, singers, performers. My very good friend and musical compeer of 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
The public knows they've been on the journey with us from the days of Treasure Island and Silver's nightclub. And it's just been, he's just a stand-up guy.
Right.
And he embodied a reggae man. The track Reggae Man, as many of you know, was written by Randolph McDermott, who was the songwriter and the leader of the Juveniles band.
Yes.
That I started with. So it's kind of a tribute not just to Mitch, but to the past.
Yes.
Okay.
And to where we come from. The song Reggae Man it was a very prophetic at that time. Living in Cayman for a songwriter to write a song about people traveling overseas to look for a better life.
Yes.
Which at that time in Cayman was not what our reality was.
It is now, though.
But it is now. Sadly, it is. And it's a sign of the times. It shows that timeless music never dies.
Indeed.
And the pen is much mightier than the sword.
Maybe he saw something, man.
He had to. He had to. And but I wanted to enshrine the song. You know, people say to me all the time, you got these, you know, you got naysayers and you got a peanut gallery all the time. You these people who have these comments, and people sometimes say, well, not, you know, that's a cover song. No, it's not a cover song. It's an original song. It was actually written for myself to sing in the Juveniles that we never got a chance to publish.
Right.
It was recorded by the Juveniles, but you've never heard the Juveniles publish it.
Right.
Tabia, which is a derivative of the Juveniles, like myself, starting at the same foundation root, recorded it, their version. And it's interesting because the way to keep a song alive is you have to record it. That's how a song becomes a classic.
Right.
You know, that's why everybody now, including Swanky, does Imanzibo in the sound. It's how you make music live.
Yes.
You pay homage to it. You record it. You sing it. You before the wise men say only fools rush in. You know, and it goes on and on and on.
Right.
And I don't need, the public should know this, but a lot of people aren't really aware of what's happening around them all the time.
Just speak it.
There you go, you know, so, but yeah, so this album is really a tribute to Mitch. It has 2 recordings of his title track from his self-titled debut album, Got to Have Love. There are 2 versions of the song there that him and I, when he was here with us, we'd always toss around which one was the greatest version.
Right.
And they're both great.
They're both great.
So
the jury is still out.
Exactly. So I decided to throw it on there. And what's interesting about this is, in as a tribute to Mitch, all of the proceeds from Got to Have Love will go directly to your Mitch's royalties, because it's his song.
Yes.
And it would obviously benefit his family in perpetuity.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it's just my way of...
That's a nice touch.
It's my way of giving back, you know?
Sure.
That's my brethren. That's my Idrin. That's
Yes.
That's Jam Mitch.
Your friend for over 30 years. Exactly. Talk to us about the artistic process
Yeah.
of writing songs and putting together an album of this magnitude.
Ellio, he's a songwriter, man. No, your writing songs come from
I hear you. I hear you
writing,
talking to me.
writing songs come from experience, and that's the thing. That's why I'm very interested in what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Because you can't write music. Music is art, and you can't create art without experience. I mean, a lot of people, when you're coming out with a song, like they think it's some run-of-the-mill 9 to 5, that you're going to build another house because you got a plan. No. For music to mean something, you have to actually live it.
Right.
And when you live it, then you can express it because it's what you've lived, and it's what people will gravitate towards because you've touched that chord, you've touched the feeling with them, when you communicate this through song. And that's important because that's what keeps the world.
Sometimes that inspiration just got come to you,
Exactly.
You find some of the song, find you, find it.
You know it, my brother.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, talking about that, I have a song that was written. It's not on this album, and this is going to be a very, very busy year for me because we have another album coming in June.
Oh, fantastic.
Absolutely. But
that's terrific. Yeah. But I hope you'll remember us when we talk about that launch as well, because, I want to be along for the ride.
We debut with Austin and Ellio.
Fantastic. I like the sound of that.
In world premiere.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We're taking him on that cruise ship. Cruise with us, buddy.
You pay respect. You pay respect where it's due.
Always.
That's important. That's something we don't do enough in Cayman.
Yeah.
We hear people saying, as the artists would say, get them on them flowers.
Yeah, man.
You have to give flowers, man.
Yeah, while them living, don't wait till them dead.
No, it's too late then. And then they come talk all kind of stuff over here. Boy, what a good guy he was. Boy, if only you remember the days. And
if only he could hear you.
If only.
That's right.
If only could partake in that party.
I like to give a man his flowers while he said
Straight up, man. Straight up.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't always mean like straight talk, bring no falling out.
Yeah.
So, if you got tell a man, give a man his due, you should also be able to tell him when you disagree with him, and he not take that personally.
Yes.
Because that's one of the problems we got. You speak something that people don't agree with, and all of a sudden, right. No, man. Come on now,
Yeah.
It's part of maturity.
That's right. We always say the same. We can disagree without being disagreeable.
Exactly.
So
or we can agree to disagree.
Indeed.
That's just as important.
That's right.
Yeah, man. So, reggae, man, is in my heart and in my mind and in my soul. It's a timeless classic.
Speaking of timeless classic, do I have your permission to share? I don't know about the whole track, but a piece of the track, some of the track. Because I want people to go to the stores and the digital platforms on the 7th of April and swoop up what will soon become a local legendary album.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know it. I feel it in my bones.
Oh, my brother.
Yeah, man.
Bless.
Just take us with you when you're rich and powerful and become Elvis. That's all I'm saying. All right, so I feel I got a tangible sort of blessing from the artist. Reggae Man comes out on all digital platforms on April the 7th. Monday, this coming Monday, and singing the title track.
It's actually a present for my daughter.
All right, fantastic. Fantastic. Well, let's have a listen on Reggae Man, obviously the title track for his upcoming album, which hits shelves on Monday.
Them talking, but they never told the truth. Their mouth full of rumors, twisted, some misconstrued. Across the seas to a land so far away, but it doesn't pay sometimes when we run away. And no, they didn't say how it would really Life was a little too slow in the island ghetto. So you packed your bags, pretty lady, and you waved goodbye. You took the iron bird and left me standing with a tear in my eye. With love in your heart, you never had no fear. You said, maybe I'll call sometime, long distance here. And it's been so long now since you've been gone away. And life's not all they say in the USA. And I don't wanna see you hungry. Woman, can't you see? I hate to see you suffering. I wanna set you free. Yeah, yeah. Can I help you, ma'am? I am the reggae man. Tell me all your troubles, that to heal. They said the change of place, it wouldn't do no harm. You'd find the love and comfort it takes to keep you warm. But the times ahead were things you couldn't really see. No, baby, you think about the things back home, the place you'd like to be. And when the snow comes down, baby, it feels so cold. And you've got no one there to have that hold. And I don't wanna see you hungry. Woman, can't you see? I hate to see you suffering. I wanna set you free. Yeah, yeah. Can I help you, ma'am? I am the reggae man. Tell me all your troubles, and I to heal. You're not the only one. You've got to understand. The reggae man, a son of Cayman, so have no fear. I am the reggae man, yes, a son of Cayman girl. Tell me all your troubles, I'd like to hear. The reggae man, the reggae man, son of
Reggae Man hitting shelves and digital platforms all around the world on Monday, April 7th. I just love that track, Notch. And,
Yeah.
you know, I got to tell you, man, that's quality. That's Grammy material. I think so. I mean, I love it.
You can't listen to it without having to bust a little move, you know?
Yeah, man. For real.
And
For
every
real.
time you can make a man bust a move, you just become larger than life still.
And, you know, you talk about music being about emotion. I feel a story
Respect.
inside those lyrics. You know, as we would say with reggae music, there's some real conscious lyrics going on right there.
It's roots rock reggae, and
Roots
it's
rock
conscious roots rock reggae.
Yeah, man. Indeed.
man.
Indeed. Even got my partner getting ready to sing a little.
Yeah.
I heard a little.
No, man.
I learned something getting ready there.
I done tell him I got something that want to help me
But
bring.
you
I want to help
tired,
me
you
bring it
put-
out too.
Yeah,
But I
told you, we're ready.
No, man.
Anytime you say,
So I want to know, Notch, because I remember one time you posted something on the group, and I was saying just go for it because I know you know what you know your stuff.
Yeah.
How you really get into it, man? Like, give us a little bit of history, man. We don't have much time, you know, but we
a little
need.
bit of history.
Yeah, man, a little bit of history.
He came, I knows my father, and I mean, yeah, my heavenly Father, obviously, the Almighty, and to God be the glory. I'm still here doing this that I love to do, but this is my father's dream. I mean, to record and to do music, you know. And I mean, Eric Smith did brought a lot of joy in Cayman, you know, like over the years, recording, and I mean, some of our greatest Pirate Week songs, my father penned them.
Yes.
And recorded them, and so, I mean, it's just for me, it's what I do,
Right.
you know. But people like Jamitch,
So you just find yourself walking in his steps then.
yeah. I mean, well, not all of his stuff.
Well, we
you
know that. We know that.
Yeah, you know, he's a police. Well, used to be a police and a Babylon, and I can't help but kind of
Can't hold that
Emotional
against him.
about it. No.
Oh, it's
I
all
don't
good.
hold it against him. No, man. He made me the man I am.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's people like him and Jamich, like I said, people who really embody music.
Right.
That when you get around them, it's like you don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mitch would pick up the guitar, he'd play something, he'd be like, wow, you know, you hear anything on that where you can sing on that, or this is what I got for it, where you can contribute.
Yeah.
And we'd write songs, and it's a good way to.
I can remember years ago, another catching up, but I remember years ago, I think it was down by Don's house. I think it was his place, somewhere near the what a Morgan Harbor, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, him and I think he was playing the keyboard, Mitch on the guitar.
Oh man.
So this is all of us gave you this inspiration.
Well, I mean, it started with the Juveniles, obviously. I mean, we go back to 1980.
I definitely remember them.
To 1981, right?
Mates.
There you go. We go back to 1981. And Juveniles did a lot of good work really fast. The album is still, mystically, the people still sing that song up until today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, you know, and it's just, it's just a joy, man,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to create music, you know? And this album is special because I did it with a lot of close friends, good musicians who are committed and dedicated to the art. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Paul Castick, Norris Webb, just so many that I can't even name them all. Dean Fraser and these guys are on these tracks. I mean, some of the best musicians out of Jamaica, along with what I consider the best musicians out of Cayman. But I mean, and I started dibbling and dabbling in production when I got to do the Cayman Kind song.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I did I did the Cayman Kind song that's now it's like I don't know if it was, but I remember distinctly that segue into production
Mm-hmm.
opened my whole world up as far as what I could do musically with the talent I have,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing how to harness other people's talents,
Yes.
because it's really that in itself is it's a science.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a work of art. You know, it's like you can sing, but can you produce?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can play a guitar, but can you produce? Or you can play a guitar, but can you songwrite?
Mm-hmm.
All of these disciplines actually they come with their own they come with their own demands.
Mm-hmm.
Own requirements, own rules. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be able to suss that out, what
Mm.
those things are, and deliver those. Once you deliver those, and you can take those boxes while you're on your way.
Sure.
You know
Indeed.
what I mean? If I can summarize it.
I like the way you said it.
And I know you're clocked on. Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
but
You're no stranger to live performing, even still. And that
Yeah.
seems to be a bit of a lost art, not just here in the Cayman Islands, but I think around the world in large part. But I'm encouraged to see that you are still performing on stages, both here, but unfortunately more so on the international stage with the, soon to be released Reggae Man album itself. Can music fans, music lovers, particularly here at home, get an opportunity to hear some of these great tracks played live on stage?
we're working on that.
Okay.
That's a work in progress. Overseas performances, that's one of the reasons why I've rushed ahead now and put out this album and have another one coming, is because I have some tour experience under my belt with Big Mountain,
Mm-hmm.
but it's only to sing the song that I'm featured on
Right.
in their arsenal.
Yes.
And I've noticed that everywhere that I go, people always want to hear more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, now's the time to really put together a catalog that I can tour,
Yes.
and that's what this stuff will definitely bring about.
Sure. Indeed.
Yeah,
But I can understand people wanting more because you definitely have one of those very
That's right.
distinctive voices. And again, I was Juveniles and thereafter Tabia fan. I don't deny that at all. Hubert and the guys, the voices alone, the musical talent. It makes me feel proud to know that these boys come from the same mud, so to speak, that I come from, and to see them doing so well is impressive. We talked about Reggae Man being a musical collaboration with the likes of the late Jamich, but Reggae Man and some of the songs contained on that track Also pay tribute to the late, great Robert Nesta Marley. Is that right?
Absolutely. There's a track here called Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Easy is an adaptation of Bob Marley's Easy Skanking
Mm-hmm.
that features Natural Black of Guyana, who is a DJ
Mm-hmm.
on it. So I'm obviously featured as a vocalist.
Mhm.
Jamich had this way of taking a simple 2 or 3 chord reggae and adding the chords, that the passing chords and the other chords that the other chords that the melody needed
Mhm.
to really big up its chest and blow out, you know?
Yes.
Mitch, that was what Mitch is known for.
Mm-hmm.
He never liked to keep things simple.
Right.
But you have to be able to make things complicated
Mm.
to keep them simple.
Mhm.
Because even when you complicate them, they still have to have an air of simplicity to it.
Sure.
So Easy Skanking is that song
Okay.
in a nutshell.
All right.
And there's more on the new album that's coming after Reggae Man that's got the same type of grandiose but simple, easy to attract in melodies
Mhm.
and chord riffs. I
Indeed.
mean, you were listening to Reggae Man, you hear Jamich all over that.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, they'd be like, oh, he played too much. No, the
Uh-uh.
man played in the pocket.
Right.
They played exactly what the song dictates that he needs to play,
He's
Yes.
supposed to play.
what
Yeah.
he's supposed to play.
Indeed.
You know?
But with the 2.5 minutes that we have remaining, Notch, we
brother.
talk about Reggae Man coming out on Monday, the 7th of April, on all digital platforms. For the uninitiated, what are those digital platforms? Where can people go to not only listen, but to buy this album?
This album is available on Monday on all digital platforms. That's Spotify, that's Apple Music, that's Geezer, or they got so many of them now that I can't even
Remember.
name off all of them. But
Right.
yeah, but any digital platform,
Mhm.
this album is available on.
Okay.
Right? There's tracks, Money for Wisdom, Jungles on this album, Easy, Got to Have Love, Reggae Man, obviously, and Black My Story,
Fantastic.
and all original music out of the Cayman Islands.
All
It's
right.
going to be a timeless. I'm just excited to see what it's going to do and how our people will resonate around and support it and get behind it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, whilst music is not necessarily our forte on Straight Talk, we are all part of one musical family here, or radio family here at Stingray Media. And certainly I would encourage listeners to check out Hot 104.1. My man Preston over there.
Yeah.
Not only does he play Black My Story, but he's promised that he's going to give Reggae Man some airplay. And who knows, maybe even on select days of this month, Easy will come out as well, and you'll hear that debut. Notch, I want to thank you. I want to congratulate you. I want to wish you every success God has for you, and give you an opportunity for some closing comments in under a minute.
Yeah,
Minute to win it.
a minute to win it.
Yes.
Yeah, your Reggae Man, available on all platforms. You can follow me on Facebook, Mr. Notch. My Instagram handle is Mr. Notch. On Threads, it's Mr. Notch. Give us a shout out. Let us know what you think of the album. But more importantly, go out and buy the album. All right?
Absolutely.
Support this on all digital platforms. There's no excuse. Matter of fact, there's a day coming up now called World Phonograph Day. And actually, I'm going to be doing some vinyl
Mhm.
just for old school because vinyl's coming back. So I've been talking to Mark Watler down at Funky Tank. So
All right.
you know,
All right.
the old school style, you know.
Terrific. Well, Reggae
Sorry
Man
about it.
coming out on Monday, April 7th on all digital platforms. Make sure you check it out. We're going to pause, check in with the BBC News. But when we come back, our primetime discussion with the Cayman Islands National Party next.
Bobo.
How can we understand the world better?
The BBC World Service is a window onto the wider world.
The vantage point from which to survey
a new horizon.
News, reports, and analysis from around the world.
Stories we think matter.
Different people from different societies.
We get to the heart of global issues.
News, stories, and global perspectives from the BBC World Service.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. The BBC is the world's most trusted news source. And Bobo 103.1 is where you'll find the BBC World Service.
BBC News, the world news from the BBC.
And the home of Cayman's most listened to talk shows.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth.
And welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Austin Harris.
And I'm Ellio Solomon.
Across Cayman, on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1.
Welcome to our newsroom here in central London. We place ourselves here at a little desk right in the thick of things.
OS from the BBC.
We can catch the very latest news from our colleagues, not just in this enormous room, but also from our colleagues around the world.
I'm in the room where they're treating children.
This is a combat zone.
The situation after the typhoon is very complicated.
It was a very tense situation.
OS from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority. At Health Services Authority, they are committed to caring for you. They are Cayman's largest and longest-standing healthcare provider, offering the most comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and public health services at 9 different locations across all 3 islands. Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online, and on your smart speaker. The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo 103.1.
Hello, I'm Eileen McHugh with the BBC News. Stock markets around the world have continued to fall sharply as investors assess Donald Trump's large tariffs on goods entering the United States. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones has suffered its biggest 2-day fall in 5 years, losing 10% of its value. In London, the FTSE 100 experienced its worst day since the COVID pandemic. Our North America business correspondent Erin Delmore is in New York.
Consumers are faced with some higher prices based on these tariffs, and so certainly we're seeing some luxury goods go up. Among the beneficiaries, we're seeing some of the lower-cost retailers having a bit of a better day. But I want to paint for you what the broader picture looks like here today on Wall Street. Out of the S&P 500 companies, only 14 are in the green today. That is how widespread and deep these losses are across various sectors and industries here in the United States. And again, all 3 major indexes ending the day between 5.5% and 6% lower.
China has announced retaliation against the United States for the tariffs announced in Washington on Wednesday. The measures include an additional 34% levy on all imports from the US. The move by the world's second biggest economy mirrors the duties outlined by Donald Trump. The US president said the government in Beijing had panicked. Our China correspondent Stephen McDonald reports from Beijing.
American companies hoping to sell into China have just taken a big hit. A minimum 34% price increase on all US goods entering the country will knock some of them out of this huge market altogether. It's especially bad for US agricultural producers. The sector already had 10 or 15% tariffs on their produce entering China in response to the last round of Trump tariffs. Now, if you add 34% on top of that, it will likely push their price beyond what people will pay.
The European Union has condemned the US tariffs as damaging and unjustified. The Trade Commissioner, Maroš Šefčovič, said he'd had a frank exchange lasting 2 hours with his American counterparts. He said the EU was committed to meaningful negotiations but was prepared to defend its interests. Elsewhere, Cambodia has offered to drastically lower duties on US imports. Donald Trump has slapped a tax of 49% on Cambodian goods. Ukraine says a Russian missile strike on Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown of Kryvyi Rih hit a residential area, killing 16 civilians. President Zelensky said the attack proved Moscow wasn't interested in US peace efforts.
We believe the ceasefire should be unconditional, and then we can talk in any format. But for this, we need the Russians to be ready for diplomacy, not just to be killers. So far, they are just devils. What else can we call them? They go to America, give speeches, go on TV, say how they want peace. They say they're ready. What are they ready for?
World News from the BBC. An investigating judge in Belgium has charged 8 people in connection with an alleged lobbying scandal at the European Parliament. The charges include corruption, money laundering and taking part in a criminal organisation. Last month, Belgian prosecutors said they suspected the Chinese telecoms giant Huawei of benefiting from allegedly corrupt lobbying practices. When the story broke, Huawei said it did not tolerate corruption or other wrongdoing. An American judge has ruled that a man who was wrongly deported to El Salvador must be returned to the United States by Monday. Kilmar Abrego Garcia was among more than 200 people taken to El Salvadoran prison last month. They were accused by the Trump administration of being gang members. U.S. immigration officials have blamed an administrative error for Mr. Abrego Garcia's deportation. Addressing a crowd, his lawyer, Simon Sandoval Moschenberg, explained the judge's ruling.
She found that the government did not dispute that there was no legal basis whatsoever for his deportation. She found that the government's arguments that she was powerless to order him brought back to the United States were without legal merit. And she found that he was suffering irreparable harm with every day that goes by while he's separated from his family and while he's detained under such harsh conditions in the infamous Sikhat prison.
A high-level African Union delegation that visited South Sudan, where there are fears of a return to civil war, has been denied access to the detained Vice President Riek Machar. The visit was intended to defuse tension between President Salva Kiir and Mr. Machar, who's under house arrest. The Malian singer Amadou Bagayakot, who's sold millions of albums worldwide with his wife Mariam, has died at the age of 70. Known as the blind couple from Mali, Amadou and Mariam blended traditional music from their home country with rock guitars and Western blues. The pair achieved worldwide success with their album Dimanche à Bamako.
Views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, hey man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM and simulcasting live on YouTube, Instagram, and on Facebook. Moving into what is our primetime conversation on this beautiful Friday. Obviously wanting to thank our last guest, Mr. Notch, for coming in, sharing some exciting entertainment news. But now it's back to the business of the day. April 30th is Election Day in the Cayman Islands, and voters across this beautiful island and all our 3 islands of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, as well as the Grand Cayman, will go to the polls, and they will be making a significant choice as to who will be their next leader. Our job is to make sure you hear from the people that matter and very well could be your next leaders. In studios with us, running for the seat in Georgetown Central, Believe in Ladies First, it is our pleasure to welcome Ms. Carmen McField as our guest in studios, and she is joined with the gentleman himself, Mr. Vassal Bud Johnson, running for a seat in Georgetown East. Good evening to both of you, fine individuals representing the Cayman Islands National Party.
Good evening to you. Oh, I love that voice. You're making me get used to this now.
There you go. Lovely to have you with us in studios, Ms. Carmen.
Yeah. Thank you, Austin. Good to be here. Excited to be here.
Fantastic.
Carmen is my partner in crime. Yeah. They tell me that I need to get more fired up, and they tell Carmen she needs to calm down a little bit more. So
well, you balance each other out. Yeah. You know, you her yin to her yang. You know, so it works out. They say the same about me and Ellio. Yeah. Though they haven't quite decided who's more boisterous than the next.
Who needs which volume control?
Quite right, exactly. Down, yeah. What we know is neither one of us know how to whisper, so I figure we have that in common.
Yeah.
Well, for both of you, obviously, this is your, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but your first foray into the political realm.
Correct.
I guess a good question to start off with, and again, ladies first. Carmen, why now?
Austin, this is the best time.
Okay.
I have been doing this for many years, and I see after the way the country is going, I realize there's no hope for our people, our children, and our families.
Yeah.
I'm a mother, a grandmother, and a wife. And if we don't do it now, the runaway train would leave the track. It's time to step up and step out and get it done. And I'm just saying, this is my time. Look around. I'm representing Georgetown Central. That's the district I've grown up all of my life. I spend more time there than I do in my own house. I told my husband it's a time they probably sell that house or rent it because I'm always at my mother's, which is Georgetown Central.
Right.
And that's where I'm born, and that's where my heart, my navel string is, and that's where I'm going to stay.
Wonderful.
So for those people that are asking why I run in Georgetown Central, Georgetowners love where they grow up and where they get well fed. And that's my mother house, Mavis House on Road. I'm there 24/7, eating 24/7. So don't ask me again why I'm running. I'm there to take up for my people and run for my constituency and take care of it. When I look around Georgetown Central for the last 8 years, 12 years, nothing has been done. My incumbent just sit there saying he want 8 more years. 8 more years for what? Look at Georgetown Central. What has been done? Promise when Marco Archer was running 8 years ago, he put Marco on the spot and say, Marco, what have you done for this in Georgetown Central? Marco just looked at him. He hadn't done anything, and our people must continue to take all of this. Look at the frivolous spending. Out of control, but our government cannot show what they have done in this country. No, it needs to stop now. Our Georgetowners, I want you to really look around. Consider, are you getting value for the money or value for nothing that you see in there? No, we need our Georgetowners to really open their eyes and know where their true love is, not free talk or talk that just sound good. People that can put their mouth where their money is and mouth where their hands should be. And that's getting things done. And I have been in the community doing that. So I am saying now, Chamber of Commerce didn't give me the time to let
you got more than 2 minutes
let
now.
me tell you this.
You can stretch your legs here.
So I won't stretch my legs because when I finish, I go in boxing.
All right.
Listen to me, guys. Don't get the Georgetowner out.
Well, I was going to say, Carmen, that I don't claim to know you very well, but from the little bit that I have been seeing, you have the fire, you have the passion, and you definitely seem like a fighter.
Hey, look at that. You found another singer in the room.
We're getting along.
You get ready to bring out his Christmas album. Well, Bud, obviously, you're right. I don't know how you're going to match this kind of excitement, but here's your turn. Your first move into the deep water, so to speak, of politics. Obviously, from a family perspective, no stranger to the political realm, to certainly the public service realm. Why this time?
Well, I'm the quiet one.
Yeah, clearly.
I'm the reserved one, and even this afternoon I was chatting with Jordan.
Yes.
He said, Bud, they like you better when you get a little fired up.
They do. They do. They like to see passion.
It is not, yeah. But anyway, why now? I never thought that I would enter the political arena. I never did.
Right.
Partly because I've always flown under the radar. And that's partly because it's my personality. I'm quiet, and also partly because of the reputation that my father had, and I was always cautious to not jeopardize that reputation anyway, especially with being named after him, by stepping into the political arena. But to be honest, over the last 8 years, whatever the period is, probably two election cycles, I've seen a distinct instability in the governance of the country, to the point where I am deeply concerned about my children's future here. And also, I lived in the home with my father until I got married at 29 years old. And living in the house with him between 58 and 87. Those are very formative years for the island. I saw what he put in to develop this island, personally, and family sacrifices that he made. And in thinking of that, if I felt that if I could impact the future of the country, that I would be doing him an injustice if I didn't step into the arena. Right. So when Gary and Dan approached me about running, after a couple of difficult conversations with them about funding and how they were choosing candidates, it was pretty much a no-brainer for both my wife and I to say, if there ever was a time, it's now. And if there ever was a party, it's the Cayman Islands National Party. And I'm putting my hat in the arena to change the direction of the country, both politically and financially.
Yes.
All right. Well, again, I think you both represent a breath of fresh air for both of your respective constituencies, and I think that's a good thing. Now, obviously, you've been campaigning, you've been knocking on doors. What have been some of the issues in which you have discovered? I mean, I'm sure you go into this thing thinking, well, these are the issues that I think are important, but what are the issues that you've discovered from the people you've met that are important to them, starting in Georgetown Central with you, Ms. Carmen?
Yeah. Well, I have come across a lot of, it varies depending on the area. For Central itself, when I say Central, Shaden Road, to Cool Road, to Tropical Garden, the situations varies. I deal with a lot of seniors on a day-to-day basis. I set up 3 NPOs over the years. I've been part of Girls Brigade for over 40 years in MC United Church. I do tons of outreach for the church, including Girls Brigade, and set up 3 NPOs where that allowed me to then be stronger in the community and doing work, putting programs together with the seniors and children and so forth. I work closely with the primary schools, and while doing this stuff, I have found that we have struggling families, mothers, young mothers, single mothers, struggling to find food and find clothes and uniform for their children. And I find I try to set a budget out of my personal paycheck to assist them. Food, when it comes to food, I try to set a budget when it comes to working along with the church during COVID. Then when people lost jobs and people were displaced from not having jobs, we came up with this program called the EATS program. And that's the name, but that is a food program that assists families with non-perishable food that we done on a weekly basis. Wonderful. On a Saturday, we would go and put food, like go and buy the food wholesale, put bags together, and we would take those, hand deliver them to their homes, knock on doors, find out if there's any issue, how they feel, have conversation, do a little prayers with them, just make them feel enlightened that people care and the world didn't just shut off and left them behind. Right. We still out there and we care. We were shut off from the world, but the world didn't shut off from you because we cared enough. And that's what we took up and took that initiative to put together this program. Very good. It was only 3 of us, and then eventually we asked other people in the church to come and help, and it ended up, it was just me and my sister and someone else, and it ended up with, my sister passed away 8 months ago. I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you. And I end up running that on my own until I decide to step into the ring and run.
Well, that is totally awesome. And I know that there's a lot of issues. And again, I love your fire, love your passion. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of issues that you want to deal with. But would you say that that's one of the things that really makes you most emotional, most passionate about?
It is. It is my people. I have always had the love for people. I've always been a people person, very passionate, caring. I love conversation. I like conversating with people, sitting visiting seniors, visiting people in general. I'm just that I feel that that's a calling. God gave me that calling to always listen to people, really see what I could do. Over the years, I've went through my closet, my children's closet, and said to them, look for the things that you don't want to wear anymore, or things that I bought brand new and you don't like. And let's put them in bags and sort them out according to sizes and age. And we have taken that and put those in little giveaway bags to help children. To help someone else because I know I grew up wearing hand-me-downs from my sisters.
It was the same with me.
It wasn't nothing because it was hand-me-downs. Yeah. So now I end up giving it good stuff. And I don't want to give anything worse than what I would want to someone else. So I end up giving good stuff that I know I purchased, but I perhaps had it in the closet and didn't wear it because you didn't like it again. And I found the same with my children. You could wear so much no more, right? Our shoes. There's so much persons on this island, families that don't have, and we sit back and we tend to, as a government, I feel if I'm doing this unofficially and I'm elected, that I know I could do it on an official basis with passion and love and drive and really get the job done. Because when we look around to see that Our government have 1 billion in budget, and that money is given to some foreign country. Our own people is struggling. Not that we don't want to give to other foreign country, yes, but let's take care of our house. Let's take care of what's in our home. Let's make sure we fix the issues in the house. Make sure the door got the hinges. Make sure the floor fixed and it's clean before, and make sure sheets on your bed before you go out there and go and ask somebody.
Well, we're being sued by Dart now. I understand he's potentially going to get 17 million. You could do a lot with that. I'm pretty sure.
So that is the things that we're talking about. We don't have a management.
Oh my goodness! We are?
No. The country.
The country, not
you and I.
You had me worried.
I didn't get that memo.
Austin was about to get a little cardio trip there.
Excuse me a second. I'll just be in the corner here, passing out
on the Regen project.
So on the Regen project, that's a big concern for me. I mean, I start and think about it. That's 17 million. You said?
Yeah, 17.7. I think.
Amount.
Yes.
So
and nothing to show for it.
And nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
And when we talk about just spending like it's nothing, whose money? That's the people's money.
Right.
Public purse.
Indeed.
We can't not be so. That's where Buds is going to come in and talk about the things on where the government has gone on not being responsible and spending in ways that we shouldn't.
Sure, indeed.
And we'll go more in details on that and things that we could do better in regards to projects, in regards to solutions, and that's what we're about. We're about bringing ideas and solutions. We're not here to bash anyone.
Right.
We hadn't, we're here about letting the people know we are here. We are people that are hitting the ground running. We come in with strong solutions. We come in with and we're experienced. We are knowledgeable. We've all worked in the private sector or own our own businesses. And we know, like we've got Gary Ruddy, who's owned a business for over 40 years. We got Dan, who has been in the financial industry, including myself, in the financial industry for over 30 years. And we know I'm compliant, and I scrutinize everything when it comes to, for me, $1 spent, I better know what that's for. I got to get that value, got to be done. I have to have value for money.
Yes.
Like I just don't spend $1 for the sake of spending it.
Indeed.
It has to be, I have to account why I spend that $1, and that's on me. And I have to account for that. So if I am that responsible with my own spending, what do you think I would be with my country spending and taking care of my people? It is important for us to really stop, consider, and make sure that our country is taken care of. Our people, Caymanians come first, and the country should come first before we just go out on a, what do you call it? They're just going on a circus, going crazy and just spending. It is just mind blowing to me right now.
Indeed. Well, certainly the Auditor General has warned this administration of doing exactly that.
Yeah, it is. I think they're just going on a real circus ride and going on a merry-go-round or roller coaster and just going up.
All right.
Just dropping hard.
All right.
So Bud will just take over, and then the other questions we will just go from there.
Going back to the original question, Austin, about we have
what have you discovered?
The Cayman Islands National Party has done 1,500 surveys of registered voters, which is about a 6% sample. And as we walked around, I particularly had two instances where one of the sets of questions we ask is, what are the three biggest issues that you'd want the next government to address? And in two separate issues, one of the biggest things that hit me is two different people said, I don't have three, but I've got one. I said, what is that? He says, what are you going to do about the debt?
Yeah.
And it actually took me a little bit aback at the time, because this was before the Auditor General's report came out. And then I sat and read that when it came out. And I was a little bit, I've always been a conservative person.
Right. It's good.
I've been a conservative person, particularly when it comes to money.
It's also very good.
And I was shocked because, and just the Auditor General's report, and this is from the official government statements. In 2021, we owed $220 million. 2 years later, in 2023, we owed $453 million. And in the budget for 24-25, they were planning to borrow another $250 million. I think yesterday or day before they came out with an official updated pre-election statement, and I don't believe that, at least the report doesn't say they spent all of it, but the extent to which they have been borrowing, and this is not just the last government, this has been going on for a while. The other aspect of it is that during the last 2018 to 2023, this government's successive government spending has increased by 50%, and revenues have only increased by 25%. They're spending, they're on
twice as much as we make.
Well, the variants are twice, and there's only while we might still be producing a surplus, we're on a collision course. The other things, I mean, and I know that
they seem to be working hard to try to match it.
But right, so this is and the Auditor General specifically says, in her report, that successive governments have not planned for or have not reported on the long-term financial viability of this country, end quote. And at the end of the day, he who pays the piper calls the tune. And if we end up in a situation where the country gets into that sort of debt, the UK is going to begin to limit what we can and can't do, and got to tie our hands. Yeah. And it can't go that way.
We've been down this road before. You'd think we'd learn from the past.
I've spent 34 years in the tourism industry. I worked for Atlantic Submarines for 34 years. But I fully understand the importance of financial services. Trust me. And we cannot afford to damage our reputation and risk the future of the financial services.
Yeah, and getting a big debt, you know, it seems like things only go wrong when you're actually in a bad financial position. So you get in that bad financial position. Next thing, God forbid, you'll have another Hurricane Ivan or whatever. So I got to say, in the spirit of transparency, Mr. Harris, yes, sir, that Bud is running in my area.
He is.
So I have a special eye on him now.
Oh, very good. Very good.
And apparently he has knocked my door at least twice, but I wasn't there, I think.
Yeah. I apologize, but I do keep him very busy throughout the course of the day, amongst his many other hobbies.
So now that you're here, Bud, you see I'm here at least until 6:30. So if you're going to knock my door, it probably has to be around 7:30. But it's good to have you here and want to ask lots of questions. I mean, how have your rounds been in the Georgetown East area?
You know, I would say that I have been absolutely amazed at the experience. My first time into politics, when my father was mostly a civil servant. He only did one term as an elected service, and my mother wouldn't let him run after that. And when he did that, I was free, single, unattached, out of school with a job, and I was having too much fun to be involved in politics. Obviously,
to even have an interest.
To our current young people are a different kettle of fish. I'm finding them extremely engaged, which is good, and extremely interested. But I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I've been retired for 4 years, happily retired, enjoying life. But I think the one thing I didn't realize I would miss in retirement was the interaction that working gave. And I think that's part of it. And my time in the tourism industry, I missed it. And I'm thoroughly enjoying going out, meeting people. You knock on the door, you look at a name on the electors list and you don't recognize it. You knock on the door and it opens and said, "Oh, it's you."
I do know you. Yeah.
So I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Thoroughly have.
Because we know a lot of people by their face or even their nicknames, and you didn't. Oh, who's this person?
Right. Yeah. We do need to pause at 28 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock and check in with a few brief commercials. But obviously, when we come back, we talked about constituency issues. Obviously, still an opportunity for that. But you also touched on government finances, which are national issues. We're going to try to touch a little bit on those national issues when we come back with our guests. Carmen McField for Georgetown Central and Bud Vassell Johnson for Georgetown East, right here on Straight Talk.
More Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio coming up. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Bobo 103.1.
Hey man, could it be you? Tortuga's 10K giveaway is back, and someone's walking away with $10,000 in cash. Every time you spend $25 at Tortuga Fine Wine and Spirits or discount liquors, in-store or online at tortuga.ky, you get a shot at winning big. As well as $10,000 in cash, we've got thousands in giveaways to hand out every week. Think staycations, the latest iPhones, exclusive experiences, and more. Get in to win. Visit tortuga.ky for the full terms and conditions.
Stingray Media encourages you to keep safe on our roads. Wet driving conditions require extra care. Put on headlights to see and be seen. Brake and steer gently to avoid skidding. Keep your distance and slow down. Be mindful of pedestrians and cyclists. Supported by ICWI, Cayman Islands Insurance Association, CG Britcay, and National Road Safety, the road to zero.
Visit Healthcare Pharmacy's second location in Governor Square, servicing West Bay and the 7 Mile Beach Corridor with the care and professionalism you have come to expect from Healthcare Pharmacy. Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square also stocks a huge selection of Hallmark and shoebox greeting cards, vitamins, sunblock, last-minute and everyday needs. To refill and transfer your prescriptions, simply WhatsApp 329-7313 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or drop by Monday to Saturday from 9 till 6.
We need to talk. Okay. We've noticed you've been going to KFC a lot more than usual lately. And
that's fine. We know you love it.
We just don't understand how you could afford it.
The KFC What a Deal menu starting at just $3. Gives you lots of great choices and value. Available at KFC Baytown Plaza, Shedden Road, and in the Strand. The KFC What a Deal value meals. The deal everyone should know about. Come to KFC and enjoy a variety of tasty choices at surprising prices. KFC, so good.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
At Polar Bear Air Conditioning, we believe in helping you to avoid costly mistakes and replacements. That's why we offer a quarterly maintenance program at a discounted price. You'll receive a 10% discount on all repairs, accessories, and services. Priority front-of-the-line customer status, reminders of your service, and no overtime rate for after-hours calls. Why not save money and avoid hassle with Polar Bear Air Conditioning? Need service now? Book our AC special for just $99. Book the next available technician at polarbear.ky. That's polarbear.ky.
Across Cayman on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority, committed to caring for you. The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, K-Man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM, simulcasting live on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We continue our discussion in studios with two candidates representing the Cayman National Party. First, the candidate for Georgetown East, Mr. Bud Vassell Johnson, and for Georgetown Central, Miss Carmen McField are our guests in studios. Whilst the phone lines are closed at the moment, we still encourage WhatsApp comments at 928-2562. You can send us a quick message if you've got the time, whether it be a compliment or a question for the guest in studios. One such comment has coming in. Wishing you the very best of luck. Carmen, blessings to you from all of us here in Georgetown Central. So your constituents or future constituents got their ears on.
Yes, thank you. Love you all.
Yes. When we last left off, we were talking specifically about constituency issues that have been identified to you from your canvassing. Bud, we'll begin this round with you. What are some of the issues, whether based on those conversations or things that you've identified whilst walking around your community? What are some of the priorities for you to address if elected in Georgetown East?
Thank you, Austin. Georgetown East is a pretty big and diverse constituency.
Yes.
You go from, from I think it's Outpost Street in the west, and it goes all the way up to Hurley's in the east. It stretches to the Crew Road and down to South Sound Road.
Yep.
And it's a wide variety, big geographical area, but I think it's 1,582 voters. And as I do the backyard meetings and walk and do the canvassing, a number of different issues come up. There's the environmental concerns in the South Sound, and then you get down, and the serious concerns you get is Randike and some of Silver Oaks, and some on Halifax Drive are the flooding. And this time of year this is a dry season. It's not bad. But when we get into the summer and the rain start, it doesn't even have to be a hurricane. It can just be our tropical downpours we get from the famous Cayman cloud. People are struggling with flooding issues. And it is something that I think we need to address. One of the things that I'm concerned about is the fact that in some of those areas, it never used to be a flooding concern. But as development takes place around it, and this particularly talking about Silver Oaks, and as building takes place around it, we've got this.
You got new
this habit of you got to build higher than this. Ivan has scared us all, and you got to build higher. You got to build higher. So people that have built there years ago now, the people next door, planning is requiring them to build higher, and the water's running off where? Into the next door neighbors. But one of the things that I've also, come aware of, is that in some areas they're beginning to implement some solutions other than deep wells. I was listening to our Michael Miles, who's running with the Cayman Islands National Party in Prospect, and Don Thomas, who is running with the Cayman Islands National Party in Red Bay. And they were explaining to me that in some of their areas, in their constituencies, which also have similar flooding issues, that there's a procedure being put into for pumping out the bowls and providing relief. And it's one of the things that hopefully when we get in, we'll be looking at through both a planning and an NRA perspective what those procedures are and see if they can't be implemented in these areas to reduce the flooding.
Well, that sounds very good. I'm pretty sure that's a comfort to a lot of people.
No, absolutely. And just you mentioned Ms. Dawn Thomas running in the constituency of Red Bay. We will have the pleasure of hearing from Dawn directly next week, Thursday, here on this program. So certainly we will remember to ask those specific questions as well. Question to you, Carmen, likewise. What are the specific areas of need that, in your opinion, have gone ignored in Georgetown Central that, if elected, you will make a priority to deal with?
Sure. I am having very similar issues to what Bud, other places in Georgetown East, and we're talking about Georgetown West and Windsor Park. We're having the same issues in the main central area, Shaden Road off Martin Drive. Last year when we had that heavy rain and that storm passed by, I visited in there and I look around and made sure, check in with the people. And some of them had to go to work and walk up to 3 feet of water, barefooted, coming through the water with a towel around their neck and maybe something just to wipe their feet to get in their car to go to work. And I just thought that one of the all of them in there are all my family members. I love them dearly, and I would do anything for them. But one of them mentioned that they never saw water come across their well in over 25 years. They've never, in the 30-something years that person lived in that area, have never seen the water cross the well, the top of the well. And during last June, the water subside past the top of that well, and water was coming into the house and basically flooded the whole house. So they had also flooding plus roof leaking in the roof. When I talk about that, that's a major problem. These people cannot. It hurt my heart. I could not sleep that night to see that our people is living like that, and they had to be sitting up for over 24 hours with pumps, 2 pumps in the house to watch and man the water. They shouldn't be losing sleep to man water. That should have been dealt with from 8 years ago when the representative was first in there. If they felt that the PPM didn't do it and they ran independent, why didn't they do it 8 years ago when they entered? So tell me, why are we putting them back in for another 4 years or 8 years? Then let's not talk about just flooding. Let's talk about the homes. Some of the same people got roof that's leaking. Shouldn't you have some sort of fund that we could also put aside, some sort of building fund that we could help some of these people with their leaking roofs and the flooding issues?
Well, there is a fund, actually, that's been in existence in the government for some time, but like a lot of things, there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape attached to that fund.
Well, I'm glad you tell me. You would know, because you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
You know more than me when it comes to that.
Well, I know a little.
Okay, so let's continue with that. We're talking about flooding. We're talking about the roads. We're talking about the repairs on. Let's talk about the revitalization of Georgetown.
Yes, it's had a big impact on a number of businesses.
Let's talk about those little small businesses in Elizabethan Square and on the side of the street on Shaden Road. Lost businesses. Middle of Georgetown by the post office. Right or wrong, we cross left and right. Those people lost revenue from the little small business, the old Thompson building. I've talked to 3 persons that got stores in there. Lost business because the people could not access. They couldn't get parking. They could not access in that road to make it to the bank. They had to walk.
4 years fixing one road, Cardinal Avenue. I can't believe that.
4 years. How much?
4 years.
Tell me, Austin. Let's start singing. Let's make a song from this.
Yes.
4 years. The little brick road. You see the little brick road. That's all I'm seeing in Georgetown. The little brick road, because Flowers is walking happy with his pavers going to the little brick road.
Right.
That's all I seen bricks, but the buildings, the old Royal Bank building and the old Scotia building that now the court has purchased. That's older than 60. That's over 60 years old.
Right.
That building been there from Doucette days. And the old Caymanian would understand who Doucette was that know me, that hear me say this. A true Caymanian. That building been there for years. And that building, if you're going to revitalize Georgetown, let's talk to the building owners. Let's talk to those landlords and ask them, would you like to join me on the journey to fix the building, the plumbing, the sewage systems, so when we fix the roads and the piping that the government spending millions of dollars to do, that the buildings would match the road. The buildings is not matching the road. So what are we revitalizing? Is it just to say we want to spend money? It makes no sense. Let's go back to Central Georgetown, Shaden Road. Let's talk about that park that costs over $9.5 million.
Yes.
We got young children that live in that area, or this whole of Central Georgetown. Let's talk about all our Caymanian children. We're not specifying just Central Georgetown. I'm talking about my Caymanians, because it's the country we're fighting for. We're not specializing in no special area here. All Caymanian children. We should have used some of that money to train and educate and send some of those students off to do some tourism training courses to come back to work in the hospitality industry. If we're talking about, because all Caymanians has left that industry. We are getting people from all over the world to work in our product. You are the product. I am the product of Cayman. I am the tourist product. If you want to advertise, put me on a commercial. I'll be glad to show my nice, beautiful face on a commercial to be that product of Cayman, because I'm true Caymanian to the bone.
Right.
Our children is the product. Caymanians are the product. Let's talk about the beaches.
Mm-hmm.
So that $9.5 million should have been spread out to help with the TVEC courses, because not all of our children will be lawyers and doctors and accountants.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put them in trade schools.
Yeah.
Let's educate them and put them in trade schools to really empower them, educate them. Don't put that on just a park. For who? For the birds to come in and to do what?
Mm-hmm.
Makes no sense.
I hear you.
I'm saying, yes, we need the park for our senior programs.
But there were other priorities.
Need the park, but we got to prioritize the country.
Mm-hmm.
The people got to come first. They're living beings, not material things that's sitting there. A park will just sit there.
So is a vocational school one of the things that you want to push for?
Yes, I will encourage that. I have a lot of the children that I deal with on a day-to-day basis in the community that are very hands-on. A lot of them love mechanic work, love fixing bikes, wave runners, jet skis. They love fixing cars. That's the boys. Let's not talk about the girls who want to do some other technical courses, whether it's sewing, whether it's to do designing, whether it's to learn to make clothes. That's what we need. Let's talk about some of them that want to do little farming. We got some of the we could farm we could start farming from what they call those 40-foot containers.
Yes, we talked about it just the other day.
We
Container
could start
farming.
farming from that.
Yes.
We don't have to always go and buy. Georgetown do not need to have land, 10 acres of land to farm. We could start doing hydroponic farming.
Yeah, hydroponic.
That's the name. We could start that. Get a few of those containers and start getting someone to train those young people, and we start producing our own food. That reduces the cost of living right there.
And we don't need to bring in any experts to tell us, because we got Caymanians in that business right now.
In that business.
Yeah. I like where you're going.
So let's not get me started on that. I want my people to know that's the passion I have. We can't be talking about it and kicking the can down the road. We have to put our mouth where our money is.
Indeed.
Okay?
All right. Well, obviously, very passionate about the needs and the issues of Georgetown Central and Georgetown East alike. But again, moving from the on-the-ground constituency issues to some of the bigger national issues. But you talked about being in the tourism business, all your professional life. Tourism has been a key focus, particularly on our show and other shows, others like it, as it relates to the upcoming 3 referendum questions that are going to be asked also on Election Day. Maybe you can talk to us about your thoughts of tying in those 3 questions. The first, of course, having to deal with cruise berthing and its relevance to tourism. Your thoughts?
Austin, you would have to raise that, wouldn't you?
I would. No, you're in tourism, so you know.
It wasn't me. But
you sure it wasn't you, Ellio?
No,
man,
it wasn't me.
I'm a big picture person. Let's talk about the referendum questions in general.
Yes.
I'll finish with the cruise berth, and just for you, Ellio. The reality is that the referendum we've done, as I said.
Hold on a second. I don't know it, but it doesn't have to end with me. It was that guy that asked it. By the way, your colleague, Jordan. If I may offer any assistance, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that his position was rather clear, and some persons might call it an out, but bottom line is he said that, he's going to wait to see what the voters come back with and move forward. Yeah. So, feel free to proceed.
In general, the referendum, as I said, we did 1,500 surveys, right? Asking
survey of 1,500 people.
We surveyed 1,500 constituents, registered voters, and in those 1,500 surveys, neither gambling, decriminalization of cannabis or cruise berthing made it into the top 10.
Okay.
Okay.
I put it, context.
So nobody seemed to have expressed an interest in.
I just said nobody made expressed on the global stage, on the global national issue. Obviously, in West Bay, the cruise was one of the major issues, but on a national basis, neither one of the three of those made it into the top 10. And I'll begin with the one on decriminalization of the cannabis. I've undecided on that. However, I think there's not enough information given to say yes or no on it. I made some inquiries, and it's my understanding that right now, if walking out of the studio, they arrested me and found me with a spliff, I would not get a criminal record when I went to court. That's as it currently stands. If I was here again tomorrow, if you give me a free show, I might come again tomorrow, and they caught me again, I still wouldn't get a criminal record. I'd have to make a choice on the second offense, which is I could take a criminal record, or I could undergo what they call a court-supervised drug rehabilitation over 9 months, after which, once I successfully complete it. So I'm a little at loss as to why we need the decriminalization. But anyway, on the point of the national lottery, I'm an engineer. I'm not an accountant by trade or an economist, but I've run a business. I was a general manager for 27 years, and basically you live and die by your accounts. So I learned to look at accounts, and I don't think that a country of, let's say, 80,000 people has the magnitude to ensure that it produces a surplus out of its lottery. And I think it would need a lot more investigation before that would make sense. On the point of the cruise birthing, I think the way the referendum question is worded is, should the Cayman Islands pursue cruise birthing infrastructure? That's in my opinion, that's a bad question asked in the wrong way. The first question I have is, what are they referring to when they say cruise birthing? Is it 1 birth, 2 births, 3 births, 4 births? The other side is, how much is it going to cost? And how are we going to finance it? On all three counts, all three of them, the fact remains that they're non-binding referendums. And we often look at it from the point of view, all right, if they vote yes, they don't have to do it. But think of the counter side. If you vote no, if the vote is no, it still doesn't stop them from doing it. Right? So just to a large extent, I'm frustrated with it, because as I've done my 1,500, or we've done our 1,500 surveys, neither of these three topics are being raised to the surface by the voters as the major issues, but they are dominating the discussion as we go forward in this election. They're much bigger issues, in my view, that the previous two governments have failed to do, that we should be focusing on.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's a very fair and honest answer. And at the end of the day, whether I ask the uncomfortable question or not, you want the job to be a politician, get used to it, buddy. This is deep water stuff. But certainly not looking for any particular answer, looking for an honest answer from your perspective, because clearly the people who are voting for you want to hear that. So I thank you for touching on that. Now, of course, you have a big meeting coming up on tomorrow night, where your constituents and the wider Cayman Islands will have an opportunity to hear more, not only about these issues, but a great many others. But I think also we'll have the opportunity not just to hear from you, but to meet you, to talk to you in person, to get to know you. Talk to us about what listeners and certainly residents of Georgetown East and Georgetown Central can expect from your meeting tomorrow.
Well, Carmen is clearing her throat.
Yes.
As I said earlier, we've done these surveys and we've developed. People ask us for our, where's your manifesto? Where's your manifesto? And the reality is, I've got it here, but it's work streams. Mm-hmm. We've taken our top 14 issues as coming out of our surveys, and as a party, we have work streams, people working in the background, pulling them together, bringing them to us, and as candidates, we work through them, said this is how we think we should be addressing them. And we've got 14 different full work streams that form part of, that will be the foundation from which our manifesto, which should be out in about a week, be produced. It'll be a top-level discussion of those. Mm-hmm. And as we go forward with our meetings, public and our smaller meetings, our candidates from last week will be rolling out in different topics, such as what are we going to do about our waste? Mm-hmm. What's our position on the environment? Traffic and public transportation, immigration, the development plan. We have these worked through in a lot of detail, and we will be beginning to roll these out. And tomorrow night at our public meeting, Carmen has 2 of those that she's going to speak to. I'll speak on another 2 of those, and we begin to roll them out in that fashion.
All right, fantastic. Now, where will your meeting be held? What time will it begin?
I just go where they tell me, between Carmen and my campaign.
Works for me, man.
I'm just going to go.
I agree with that.
Leave that to Carmen.
So I think you better go where Carmen tells you to go. She seems like a
wise man said.
Yeah.
Yes, guys, sorry about that. So the meeting will be held tomorrow off the top of Tropical Garden Road. That's right off of Coup Road.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it will be in the gardens for Miss Heather Borden and Miss Harlan Borden's property, the real estate business at the front. So we'll have that corner lot. We will be setting up a stage there to have a meeting, and just a meet and greet. It will be more of a bigger stage, but to meet and greet and to bring both worlds in with us. That would be the Georgetown Central, and Georgetown West.
East.
Georgetown East. That would be Bud's group in from the neighboring areas to come in and just meet and greet and hear some of our solutions to the issues in the country. Okay. And we are asking right now, taking this opportunity to ask everyone who's maybe not, if you're not in those areas, still tell the persons that you know that may be living in Georgetown Central, which is from the post office, Georgetown, straight down to the left-hand side of Tropical Garden. That's considered Georgetown Central. Mm-hmm. And straight on Coup Road, Palmdale, and so forth, to come out to the meeting and really hear what we have to say to make a decision, a concise decision on who you should vote for and what we're bringing to the table before April 30th.
All right. And just very quickly, because we got about 1:30 before we have to pause and take a break. You talked about the manifesto. It's getting close to that time where these manifestos are going to be released. Can voters who come out to the meeting tomorrow night expect to receive their hard copy of your manifesto?
No, it won't be out tomorrow night.
No, when is your manifesto coming out?
I think the target date we have is next week, Friday.
Next week, Friday?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously members of the listening audience and those your constituents can mark that in their calendar.
And it's going to be much more an online availability on our website. We're not going to kill a lot of trees publishing it and printing it, but it'll be mostly available on the website.
Makes sense.
All right. And what is your website address for the benefit of the listening audience?
Cayman Islands
National Party.
Cayman National Party.ky.
The URL for your party website. It's CINP.ky.
I've got it.
All right. Well, whilst you're looking that up, we'll share those details again before we sign off today. But obviously the conversation will continue with our guest in studios, but we do need to pause and take a short commercial break. The phone lines, 745-2626 is the number, but encouraging comments to come in vis-a-vis the WhatsApp line, 928-2562. And from there, you can either send us a WhatsApp audio note or a WhatsApp text message. But we're going to pause, check in with the BBC News, but there'll be more Straight Talk next on Bobo 103.1 FM.
Bobo.
BBC News.
BBC News.
World news from the BBC. Violent clashes.
Thick black smoke.
A tremendous legal victory.
Crucial elections.
Destructive wind.
A search and recovery operation.
A race against time.
An imminent threat.
Flying a drone over a rival team's training session.
Whatever is happening, wherever it's happening, catch up with the latest news bulletins from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM.
The BBC is the world's most trusted news source.
And Bobo 103.1 is where you'll find the BBC World Service.
BBC News, the world news from the BBC.
And the home of Cayman's most listened to top shows.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cohort troop.
And welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Austin Harris.
And I'm Ellio Solomon.
Across Cayman.
On FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1.
The BBC's From Our Own Correspondent.
In today's Russia, no one is allowed anywhere near the political stage if they pose a serious challenge to Vladimir Putin.
Stories and reflections from our reporters around the world.
There is a major sense of insecurity here.
More people are coming in from Sudan every day.
From Our Own Correspondent from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority.
At Health Services Authority, they are committed to caring for you. They are Cayman's largest and longest-standing healthcare provider, offering the most comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and public health services at 9 different locations across all 3 islands.
Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online, and on your smart speaker. The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo 103.1.
BBC News, hello, I'm Eileen McHugh. Stock markets around the world have continued to fall sharply as investors assess Donald Trump's large tariffs on goods entering the United States. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones has suffered its biggest two-day fall in 5 years, losing 10% of its value. Erin Delmore is in New York.
For the S&P 500, over the last 2 days alone, we're seeing more than a 10% decline. For the Dow, we're seeing a decline of more than 2,200 points today. For the NASDAQ, more than 20% below a recent December high. President Trump is making a bet that his protectionist policies here are going to either lead other countries to negotiate their own tariff rates or lure American companies to reshore their production and their supply operations back to the U.S., but we are seeing in real time countries grappling with how to respond to President Trump, and that anxiety and those maneuvers are really making investors nervous.
The European Union has condemned the US tariffs as damaging and unjustified. The Trade Commissioner, Maroš Šefčovič, said he'd had a frank exchange lasting 2 hours with his American counterparts. He said the EU was committed to meaningful negotiations, but was prepared to defend its interests. Elsewhere, Cambodia has offered to drastically lower duties on US imports. Donald Trump has slapped a tax of 49% on Cambodian goods. Ukraine says a Russian missile strike on Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown of Kryvyi Rih hit a residential area, killing 18 civilians. At least 6 of the victims are reportedly children. President Zelensky posted photos of bodies near a playground and damaged apartment blocks. Here's James Waterhouse.
This was, as the authorities say, a ballistic missile. Next to it, you can see bodies scattered on the pavement in a neighbouring playground, and there are shrapnel marks everywhere. President Zelensky has said this is a clear demonstration that Russia is not interested in peace. And I think when we consider the ceasefire efforts being led by America at the moment, where the question of just how up for peace Russia is increasingly being asked, this is something Ukraine is looking to highlight.
An investigating judge in Belgium has charged 8 people in connection with an alleged lobbying scandal at the European Parliament. The charges include corruption and money laundering. Here's Danny Eberhard.
The 8 people charged have not been named by prosecutors. The investigation centres on suspicions that Huawei benefited from lobbying that allegedly saw bribes paid for political backing and the use of excessive gifts or tickets to football matches. When the story broke, Huawei said it took the allegations seriously, stressing it did not tolerate corruption or other wrongdoing. Its lobbyists have been suspended from accessing the European Parliament while investigations continue.
This is the World News from the BBC. A US court has ordered the energy firm Chevron to pay more than $700 million to repair damage to coastal wetlands in Louisiana. A jury found that Texaco, which was acquired by Chevron more than 20 years ago, had breached the state's environmental guidelines for decades. Chevron called the decision unjust and said there were numerous legal errors. The disgraced former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick has died in the United States, aged 94. He served as Archbishop of Washington, D.C., and became a powerful figure in the Roman Catholic Church before credible allegations emerged in 2018 that he molested children and adults. A year later, he was removed from office by Pope Francis. Cardinal McCarrick never faced a criminal trial. The Malian singer Amadou Bagayoko has died at the age of 70 following an illness. With his wife, Mariam, they became one of Africa's best-selling pairs and sold millions of albums worldwide. Meta Sikirka looks back at his life.
Known as the blind couple from Mali, Amadou and Mariam met at the Institute for the Young Blind and began touring together in the 1980s. At first, to raise awareness for people living with blindness and disabilities. Their music blended traditional Malian rhythms with rock guitars and Western blues. In 2004, the pair reached worldwide success with their album Dimanche à Bamako. They later composed the official song for the 2006 Football World Cup in Germany. And last year, they played at the closing ceremony concert for the Paralympic Games in Paris.
And that's the latest BBC News.
The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM and simulcast live on Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube as our conversation with the Cayman Islands National Party candidates for Georgetown East, Mr. Bud Johnson, and for Georgetown Central, Miss Carmen McField, continues. The website we were talking about during that last break is nationalparty.ky for those of you who are interested. And again, from the standpoint of the manifesto release, which Mr. Johnson stated he won't be killing trees to release. So if you want a copy of the Cayman Islands National Party manifesto, that'll come out next week, Friday, and it will come out largely online. Carmen, we were chatting during the break, but also chatting in the first hour about your work with young people in your community, which really I found moving because it makes you no stranger to community efforts. No. You're not getting elected into office to start these things. These are efforts that you began from the beginning. Talk to us about your youth empowerment and outreach that I suspect you will want to continue if elected.
That's correct. Thank you for that. This is not new to me. Yes. This is my passion. I love it. I love children. I grew up in a very close-knitted family. My mother come from a big family, the Macfield family. She grew up with 18 siblings. My grandmother had 18 children, 4 sets of twins. I grew up my mother came from a big yard, and all the siblings had homes in that big property. I moved to Song Road, where I grew up. That's central, opposite the Water Authority, from age 4. And my mother had 8 of us. I'm the youngest of 8 children. So I'm coming from a very loving, caring, close-knit family. We all take care of each other. We all love each other and help each other out. We are what you call the protocol, the Caymanian kind, protege of the Caymanian kind family. Caring, loving, take care of each other, look out for others. So it takes a village to raise a child. We're that village that raise everybody else's children and take care of them, because it's the time that we grew up, and that's the Caymanian way. And when I say I started Girls Brigade at Emsler Church from 5 years old, and that was part of embedded in us.
Wow.
Look out for each other, take care of the whole community. Georgetown was a caring and loving community. We walked from my grandmother's yard to Girls Brigade, or back in the days it was called Christian Endeavor on a Tuesday evening. We went to the youth group. Back then, it wasn't called youth group at that time. It was called Christian Endeavor. And I grew up in a very...
Really in your blood then?
Yes. So taking care of the community, my family cooked. We didn't go to gatherings and get chips and cookies and sandwiches. We got food. We were fed. Families took care of each other, and you went home with a belly full. Yes. And that tradition carried on till today. That carried on till now. Girls Brigade that I still attend, and now I'm a leader and help with those families. I take my lunch hour, 4 o'clock, from my professional job to make sure I drive through my community to pick up young girls, little girls, and I ask their families, or their mothers, if you can't bring them, I will take that initiative to go and collect those children to ensure they come to Girls Brigade to learn, to get that love and that attention and that lesson, the lessons that they need to learn to take them, to make them better citizens in our community. Yes. So those are the things. I took that initiative for years and years. Not only pick them up, but drop them home.
Amazing. And how many you have children of your own?
I have 2 adult children. My oldest is 30 and the youngest is 22.
You look so young.
I know. That come from good blood.
I would say so. That could okay, man. Salt breeze.
From good blood.
I didn't know you were. I didn't know you were the baby in your family.
Yes, I'm the youngest in my family. That's why you're getting all of this spunk.
Well, she certainly is fired up, okay, man. She certainly is fired up.
So these are the things that is a passion to me. I can't just sit back and say our community, Georgetown Central, to just sit there. For us to sit there and not really put action and take things serious in our community to build that community. Yes. We're a dying breed. Our country, our Caymanians are now extinct when you think about it. If we're the population, we have more foreign persons living in this country than Caymanians. We have to start embracing who we are, loving who we are, loving our dialect, loving our culture, embracing it. Be proud to be Caymanians. We need to hold fast to that and be proud.
We probably know the answer, but I'm not sure if my colleague or I asked you specifically, but you've been doing all of this groundwork for years, so it's not just about the politics of it. But what finally made you decide that, you know what, I'm tired of this, I'm jumping in, throwing my hat in the ring? What made you decide to do that?
When I look around and see where my country is going, I look around as a mother, and I told you I'm a mother, grandmother, and a wife. It hurts my heart. My heart is bleeding to see where our country is going. When I hear the people, I'm walking in my constituency, not just my constituency. I have persons from Northside, East End, West Bay, that call me and ask me for assistance and guidance, whether that's completing an application form for a job, whether that's preparing a cover letter for them, meaning drafting a cover letter and helping them, filling out an application form, going online to do processes, assisting them with applications for NAU, whether it's medical application for senior, whether that is going to get asked for assistance or sponsorship for the children to travel for sports or something. I have been doing this for years.
I was going to say, I think you've already had your portfolio. You just wasn't getting paid for it.
Just not getting paid. I was taking it out of my personal funds because it had to be done. Yeah. And my late sister, Joanne Macfield, love her to death. I talk about her every day because she has molded me and taught me, always do what you have to do. Never look for a payment. Never look for anything returned. Do it because God is watching you. And God knows you have a purpose, she says. So for the wider community that don't know, and the people that, apart from my family don't call me Carmen, they call me Pinky. So they know that my family will say in a personal level, Pinky, this is your calling. Right. You're a person that loves people. You're a person that's caring. You get things done. And you're not afraid to tackle things. And you're not afraid of people. You just go full force. And when I know something needs to get done, I will fight for it. I will fight for the cause. And during my years of doing all of this, in the last 2 years, I've also set up 2 NPOs. One for my good friend, Lisa Prendergast. She is very boisterous. She has a passion for her country and her people. And this one is called Be Kind, Be Humble, and Be the Light. And that is also assisting seniors in the community and giving back to the Pines in a hospital. She has, I have set up that NPO on her behalf because she has been giving back in the community for over 30 years to the hospital, Georgetown Hospital and the Pines. And I said, Lisa, if you have been doing this on behalf of your mother, in memory of your mother, I think we need to set up an NPO and make this official. Awesome. And that is something I've done, I would say, over a year ago. And that NPO is called Be Kind, Be Humble, and Be the Light. And that is given. She would buy toiletries, towels, soap, everything, name it, gift basket, fruit baskets, and give back to the hardworking doctors and nurses at Georgetown Hospital, mental ward, the Pines. And I have joined her on that journey over 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then prior to that, there was another NPO we set up over 3 years ago called K Mankind Action Committee with Miss Romelia Welcome. And this is where I could go on and on with the things. And I felt that it was time for me to step up. Now, after doing all of this, now why shouldn't I step up? The question is, why shouldn't I do it on an official level? Right. So this is my time to jump on this officially because I have been doing it. And prior to that, 16 years ago, I've started Prospect and Railway Community Group. I started that group from my living room. From my living room with 2 persons. My living room. And it kept growing and growing, going to door knocking. And I think you was in
Prospect.
In Prospect at the time as a representative.
Yes, ma'am.
But this was over 16 years ago before you got elected.
Absolutely.
I started that.
I'm glad to hear that because certainly, there's some today that seem to have taken it over and want to claim that it's their baby.
So I started that from my living room and invite them 4 years after I started it.
Well, God bless you for obviously stating that fact. And I will say, as a former representative MP, that chat group has been extremely useful. And I dare say it has been copied across the Cayman Islands because it is a convenient and easy way for the community to stay connected on issues that impact the community. So on behalf of those citizens, those constituents in Prospect, I thank you. And I'm sure you'll continue that in Georgetown Central if elected.
That's right.
Want to get Bud back into the conversation. Bud, we got 12 minutes remaining. We were talking about development and specifically overdevelopment during the break. I know persons have complaints, concerns about the overdevelopment that's taking place in this country. But I read an article, I want to say the latter part of last year. It was October last year, where the estimated population in the Cayman Islands is at 87,866 persons. I mean, yes, on the one hand, overdevelopment, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, but we are experiencing a housing crisis against the backdrop of growing population. We got to put these 87,000 people somewhere. What are your thoughts?
Population, Austin, as someone who's worked in the tourism industry for 34 years, I've seen the tourism industry evolve and grow. And over the last several years, the population of the Cayman Islands has grown significantly, as has our stay over tourism. We're in a position, couple that with all of the development that is going on and the amount of work permits that we have issued.
38,000 in Horizon. We're in an
sustainable growth position. Whether you're talking about the buildings, whether you're talking about the deteriorated environment, whether you're talking about the population, we have too many people. The number of people living on this island has grown faster than the housing. And as I walk around the constituency, you find there are very few houses that where there's not a room being rented out. Throughout, and there are places where they're built on, but it's all that's available. You know, it's all that's available. But the construction keeps going, work permits keep getting issued, and the traffic keeps getting thicker. We have to find a way to balance it. One of the fundamental positions of the Cayman Islands National Party, and one of the reasons that I'm running, and I'm doing a bit of a side bit, but I just did a video sitting on the back step of my grandmother's house, and I begin it this way. This is my grandmother's yard, and through my mother, she left a piece of land for me on which I built my home. What are we going to leave to our children and grandchildren?
Right.
You know, you put it in that context. We cannot continue to develop at the rate we're going. We cannot continue to grow the population at the rate we're going. Now, with all due respect, we understand that the financial services industry is a big economic driver, the biggest economic driver. And we respect that all the staffing for that they're not going to be Caymanian. But we have to look at the quality of life, and we have to put the brakes on the rate at which we're issuing Caymanian statuses. At the current time, we're issuing it somewhere in the ballpark of 1,000 a year, right? And that's just the status issues. We have people, the infrastructure hasn't grown at the same pace as our population, and the quality of life is deteriorating. I know we tend to talk about the traffic issues in Georgetown,
right?
Yeah,
and they're valid too. So for my constituents in Georgetown, I could easily say, oh, just fix the stuff in Georgetown, put satellite parking. But we've got, it's a national issue. We've got people in East End, North Side, Bodden Town, families who are getting home at 6:30 in the evening.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Having to put their kids in bed by 8 p.m., waking the kids up before 5 to put them back in the car to get to work. That is significantly deteriorating the quality of life, and it's going to erode the family unit even further. Because I can just picture myself when, 37 years ago when I got married and began to have kids. I can picture what it would do to my family having to travel those hours.
But
we have to slow it down and find a way to address these issues so that our growth is sustainable. I'm not in any way saying we need to put the brakes on and bring it to a full stop. We have to find ways, and it will take time. The downside is that to put some of these things in place, probably going to take more than 4 years, but we have to begin somewhere, put them in place so that even if I don't find the benefit of them, see the benefit, my children and grandchildren and your children and grandchildren will have a place to live as our forefathers left for us.
So to that issue of the transportation issue, what's your views on some sort of public transportation? What's your view on the East-West Arterial? Or do you have some other ideas?
No, I think the party's position and my position, and it is that, east-west arterial aside, because it is controversial from that standpoint, we have to put in public transportation system, reliable, timely public transportation system in first, in order that people have an alternative to driving cars to get to work. And once that reliable public transportation system is in place, then we have to implement methods by which we reduce the number of cars on the road, right? Be that pricing on cars, duty on cars, restriction on who can have license, but you can't do the one without the other. So you can't put the cart in front of the horse. You've got to provide them, and both the people and the businesses, with reliable public transportation so they know that people will get to work. And once you have that in place, then you begin to look at the number of cars. We don't necessarily need a whole lot more roads. We just need less cars.
All right. We got about 4 minutes, 30 seconds before we have to wrap it up. And experience has taught me that if we don't start the closing comments from now, we're gonna run out of time. So if I can encourage you again to remind the listening audience about your upcoming meeting tomorrow night, where they can hear from you directly on these issues and much more. And then, of course, we'll move towards some final remarks for today. But hopefully, most certainly, we'll get Mr. Bud and Miss Carmen back in studios. But
I think Carmen's ready to come back.
I think Carmen's ready to go now. She's ready to keep going all night long.
I saw a boxing video with her,
So Miss Carmen, details on tomorrow's meeting.
Sure. Tomorrow meeting is at the corner of Tropical Garden, at the entrance of Tropical Garden on Crew Road. It starts at 7 p.m. It is the meeting for Bud Johnson.
That was at 7 p.m.
No, 7 p.m. Okay. It would be Bud Johnson, Georgetown East, and Carmen McPhail, Georgetown Central. I am asking all of my constituencies, persons in my constituencies, to come out and listen to some of the topics and solutions that we would be addressing tomorrow. And Bud constituency, and it will be an exciting meeting, and I'm asking each and every one of you to come out. 7 p.m. tomorrow, the corner of Tropical Garden, the top of Tropical Garden and Cool Road, in Miss Harlem and Heather Borden property at the top of that, where Tropical Breeze apartment is in the greens.
So as soon as you turn it on the left.
As soon as you turn, right on the left.
Will that meeting be streamed on the social media platforms?
Yes, we would have it streamed, but we like to have persons out there. We like to see people come out and enjoy and interact.
I completely agree with you.
Yes.
Indeed. Well, if I can invite closing comments, Bud, we'll begin with you, and we will end as we started, with Ms. Carmen having the last word. Mr. Bud Johnson.
Well, first of all, Austin and Ellio, thank you all for having us on. It's been a pleasure. I'm not nervous about talking, but my wife is nervous about what I'm going to say. I would say, I would encourage all of the all members of the public to come out, because as we've now got all of our working streams out, the things that we'll be talking to will be based, our manifesto, it will be reflected in our manifesto. And if you want to be on all our public meetings, all our candidates, that's where we're moving at this stage for the next 3 weeks up to, we're releasing more of that stuff out, and it'll be new stuff, and hopefully you come out and you learn whether you vote in Georgetown East or Georgetown Central, or any other constituents in the island. Come out and listen, please.
All right. Thank you so very much. Mr. Bud Johnson, running in the constituency of Georgetown East. If you are a constituent in that area, please, by all means, come out to the meeting tomorrow night. Ms. Carmen McPhail, it's been a pleasure to host you. Yes. You are so full of energy. I love it on a Friday night. An opportunity for the final word.
Sure. Thank you, guys. I just want to say I'm taking up a position here 1 day a week.
Fantastic.
Right. 1 day a week. Let's keep the excitement in this room.
Join your colleague, Jordan Rivers.
Love that.
Yes. But I want to say thank you guys for the opportunity for us to come in and talk about a lot of these issues and just to express ourselves. It was a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to seeing and meeting a lot of the persons in my constituency, also Bud constituency, to share some of our dreams, our concerns, and and great plans for the country, and to make people know there's hope. there is hope once you consider the Cayman Islands National Party. We're bringing a lot of great ideas to the table. Not only ideas, they're workable ideas and things that make sense for the people of Cayman Islands. And I'm asking you to come out, listen, and come and support us.
All right.
Tomorrow again. But you want to mention your number, but I am Georgetown Central, number 2 on your ballot. Come out, because let me tell you, we're going full force.
All right.
For you.
All right.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, and the listening audience. Thank you.
Indeed. And that's all the time we have for you today, but tune in again on Monday at 4:30 for more Straight Talk on Bobo FM.
The home of the BBC World Service, the most trusted news source in the world. This is Bobo 103.